They lived in a windowless and cramped undersea world for weeks and months at a time, defending freedom. Members of the greatest generation served aboard submarines during World War II, including one that's now a National Historic Landmark docked at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in Manitowoc. Michael Schlesinger takes us topside and inside the USS Cobia.
Basically imagine locking yourself in the basement with about 80 other people and living in your basement for the next 3 months at a time.
Mike Johnson with the Wisconsin Maritime Museum puts the experience of being on a submarine in layman's terms. For so many who fought in World War II, this was reality for months at a time.
The main thing is just to understand what their parents and grandparents might have experienced, or maybe even a current loved one on a modern submarine, and just how technically complex they are, but still the tight, cramped living quarters.
The USS Cobia is permanently positioned at the museum in Manitowoc. The submarine, named after a fish, has quite a storied past. Milwaukee is even part of it.
Cobia was built during World War II, served 6 war patrols, successful war patrols, and also after the war, it was a training boat in the Vietnam conflict down in Milwaukee from 1959 to 1970 until it came up here to be a museum boat.
Of course, Manitowoc has had a reputation as a shipping mecca for at least 100 years. During the 1930s and 40s, this lakeside city made some 30 subs at 4 different shipyards, including the Electric Boat Company, where Cobia came to life.
What the Germans were doing to the Allies in the Atlantic, the Allies were doing to the Japanese in the Pacific. So just about all 300 submarines, there are a few that were still kind of being built and everything, but all the submarines in World War II all went out to the Pacific, so it was taking on the Japanese shipping.
The sub goes the length of a football field and is 30 feet wide. When in operation, it could drop 300 feet below the surface. This sound signaled the boat was dropping, and in the belly of the boat, so to speak, you'll find some of the torpedoes. So we've made our way to the torpedo room here aboard the USS Cobia. I have Mike Johnson with me. Good morning to you. Talk about this special room.
Yep, this room is the forward torpedo room. There's a very similar one to it at the opposite end of the boat, so you could fire out both ends. But another interesting part about this room, as you're looking at right now, these are the bunks that the sailors would have also slept in. So you lived and worked in the same room. Pretty much the only time you ever got to leave was for meals or night watches.
That's incredible to me. I don't know if I could have done that. I'm a little bit claustrophobic, but I commend those sailors. And you know, again, this is really living history here. Talk about these, the torpedoes themselves.
Yep, yeah, these torpedoes were the standard torpedo in World War II. They could travel at just about county highway speeds at almost 55 miles an hour. And it would take just one well-placed torpedo to sink any of the typical non-war vessels that they were coming up against.
And again, these cots pull out, right? That's all they did. The sailors slept here.
Yep, yeah, they would have slept either on the bunks just above the torpedoes or these lower ones that would slide out. So you're either sleeping on top of or right next to one of these torpedoes.
I was asking you, what is the biggest thing that the visitors find interesting about taking a tour here?
Yep, probably a lot of it would be some of the different technology that they did have in the 40s that not too many people know about. Like, for example, figuring out the angles to fire these torpedoes at. They had to do a lot of that high school level trigonometry that we all hated doing back in high school, but it's figuring out what angle, how fast you're going, where they are and everything. And a lot of it, they had the ability to do that almost fully automatically.
What's the dimension of this room quickly?
This room, it's about 30 feet long, and the sides of it, there's 14 feet on either side, but there's a lot of stuff that takes up a lot of that room. So, but 14 to 17 people would have lived in this room for 3 months of their lives.
Only one Cobia crew member lost their life during the war. It's also important to mention U.S. Navy submarines sank more than 60,000 tons of enemy warships and more than 5 million tons of merchant shipping. 13 Japanese destroyers in the South Pacific, I'm told, were lost at sea directly because of Cobia. What is it that you love the most about it?
Oh, I just think it's the history. I love World War II, just everything about it. Get the goosebumps thinking about it.
It's pretty cool. It's the first time ever coming here, so.
What's coolest?
Probably, I don't really know.
You're looking all over the place.
Tours are offered just about every day, and sometimes you can even stay on board overnight. On average, 4,000 people do so a year. A lot of scouts even earn their badges this way. Cobia is just one collection at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum.
Major respect for the men that were serving during the time and what it really took to go out there and have a 1 in 4 chance of not making it home.
And those with the museum assure the public everything will be done to make sure this piece of history stays afloat for a long, long time.
It's about 1,000 times the weight of a car, so it's about 1,000 times the cost. Constant repair, constantly repainting and doing a lot of mechanical work. We've got a very, very great group of volunteers that are coming up just about every other week to do work on the boat, and it's a never-ending process.